Today I'll be interviewing Tom Baer again about step 1 of the 7-step exit planning process, which was developed by John Brown at the Business Enterprise Institute in Denver, Colorado. We met Tom earlier in episode 6, and you'll probably remember he's from Springfield, Illinois, where he's a partner with the accounting firm Sickich. He's been a CPA since 1992 and a certified exit planner since 2011. Hi, I'm Norman A. Hood, financial advisor and host of the Exit Plan Show. I interview America's top advisors to help business owners enjoy more freedom, grow companies faster, and retire on their own terms. Welcome back, Tom. Let's jump into step 1.
Let's do it.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about 5 essentials of a well-done exit plan. And I know one, of course, is having a written plan that outlines your objectives. Another is having experienced advisors, good cash flow, strong management, and, of course, time. So let's talk about first having a written plan, and especially about setting objectives. Why is that so important?
Well, if you follow the financial world today, Norm, you'll notice a lot of financial advisors, including yourself probably, that are doing a lot more goal-based planning with their personal clients, their business clients. So it's really all about what are your goals. And step 1 of the exit planning process is really probably the most important step, and a step we continuously refer back to throughout the exit planning process when we're working with business owners. So step 1 is really to identify the 3 main objectives of the exit planning process. Who is your successor? Who is going to buy your business, take over your business? Okay, is that a third party, that maybe an equity group, maybe you're going to sell your business to a strategic buyer, or is it a management team, or is it maybe some family members? So who is going to take that business over and help you exit the business? The second question in terms of identifying your objectives is how much? How much do you need to live the type of life you want to live in retirement? And that's really a 2-tiered question, because you really need to understand what assets the owner has or the owners have outside the business, and then you also need to understand how much liquidity they're going to need from the business in order to exit the business. And the last question, really, the major of the 3 objectives, is when. When do you want to exit the business? And when is a different question for every business owner, because some business owners see actually leaving the business as more of a phase out, where they continue to come into the business or continue to have some level of involvement. Other business owners might look at it as, in 2 years, I'm leaving the business and I don't intend to ever come back or be involved anymore. So those are the 3 major questions to try to identify what the owner's objectives are.
Okay. Well, I know in working with business owners in the past, not necessarily in this area, you've had more experience than I have, but a lot of times if you don't get the objectives right in the beginning, you end up halfway down the road and starting over because something wasn't brought up, or something was, we forget to mention something, maybe we forget to ask a question. Has that ever happened?
Sure, it does happen, and frankly, it changes just to the normal course, because I think as a business owner starts to go through a process with an advisor of laying out their exit plan, sort of setting a roadmap for their exit plan, they will learn some things. They will do some of their own soul searching. We'll talk about the dollars and cents of it and the tax implications and things like that, and they may in fact decide the when changes, because maybe they don't have enough cash flow or enough liquidity to live the type of retirement they want to live. The decision to sell the business to a management team that they may have initially intended to do, that may change as well, because they may realize that the management team doesn't have a lot of capital, so the business is going to end up financing the buyout, and they may retain more risk than they really want to retain throughout that process. So it does change, But the key is to have an experienced advisor work with you that hopefully can uncover all of the issues that exist so that you can have a comprehensive exit plan, and one that you don't have to start over with halfway through because they didn't really ask the right questions and help guide you to understand all of the issues you might face.
Okay, so that's a pretty important step.
It is a very important step. We spend a lot of time in this step. We ask a lot of penetrating questions to try to get to what's really going on in the business owner's head so we can really help advise them on the right exit strategy.
You mentioned, as the exit planning advisor, how important it is, how critical your role is in, helping set the objectives. But this isn't a one man does everything operation, I'm sure. So what other types of advisors and what type of experience do they need?
Yeah, it's really the process that we follow is really a team-based approach. So clearly you need a quarterback, and that's really my role in the process to help guide the exit planning process. But you need an advisor that has knowledge and experience with taxes, because ultimately what the business owner is most concerned about is what after-tax dollars are they going to have to be able to live a comfortable life in retirement, possibly buy a home in another state or in another country, pay for weddings, pay for college, pay for grandkids' expenses, all of those things. So really the key there is after-tax dollars and doing tax planning. So you need a good tax advisor if your exit planning professional doesn't have that skill set. You certainly are going to need to look at insurance. Okay, insurance generally is a part of the exit planning process because there's still debt, and insurance may be a tool to help mitigate the risk of some unexpected event. But you also may need insurance on the management team that's going to buy you out, because through the process of buyout, if something happens to that management team, you may need some liquidity as the exiting owner to repurchase the business from that team and take another path. So you need an insurance advisor for your family, for your business. You're going to need a good business attorney, probably an estate planning attorney as well. You may need some consulting. You may need a family business consultant. You may need an investment banker. We've talked about that before. Your team may be fairly broad. You may need to hire someone to help you try to find the right expertise. Maybe you need to hire a key manager, a key employee that has a certain skill set. You may need an HR consultant. Mm-hmm. So it can be a fairly broad-based team. And I think what this tells our viewers, Norm, is that exit planning isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And you really need to start your exit planning as soon as you develop some value. As soon as you create value in your business, you've got customers, you've got cash flow, you really need to think about performing an exit plan, because you're going to leave your business either voluntarily or involuntarily. So exit planning is partly about contingency planning too, and planning for that unexpected event. So it takes a lot of advisors, and it's really important for business owners to do exit planning early in their business life, so that if that unexpected event does occur, their family is taken care of.
Okay, good. And then you mentioned earlier about arriving at a preliminary valuation and the importance of cash flow, but when it comes time to cash an owner out, what role does cash flow play in that?
Well, cash flow, we talked about a management buyout situation. A lot of times that future cash flow of the business is really what's going to fund the owner's buyout, right? So cash flow is critical. Continuing cash flow is going to be critical to any buyer, right? If it's an equity group, if it's a strategic buyer, they want to make sure that the cash flow is going to be there after they buy the business, because they want to make sure there's a return on their investment. So, you know, as quickly as our world is changing today with the internet and technology and the way we do business, the way we acquire business, you know, one of the things you look at early on when you're doing some exit planning with businesses, what industry are they in, and what really is the future of that industry, and will that business really be able to sustain cash flows going forward? And a lot of businesses may not be able to anticipate what new technology or what new competitor might come into their space and really have an adverse effect on their business. So cash flow is really critical, and it's becoming more difficult to try to look out in the future and determine what your business model is going to look like.
Okay, good. And of course, some of these topics just seem to keep coming up again. You know, cash flow, and now we're going to talk again about management as being an essential. And you brought that up, you know, the last interview about how important it is to have a strong management team.
Yeah, so strong management team is one that is incentivized to make sure the business is successful. I think that's a really critical element we like to see in businesses. Is, does the management team have skin in the game? Maybe they have some ownership, maybe they have some incentive package that they are rewarded if the business achieves certain performance goals. So, but a management team is really a critical piece. The leadership of any business is something that I look at early on and try to identify where there might be a need to bring in another advisor or someone to help the business owner try to firm up the management team. Maybe it's the business owner's skill set that's going to be exiting the business. Maybe that's the skill set that we have to focus on, and maybe they know that they've got some weaknesses in their business model related to their management team that need to be addressed before they can really exit their business.
Okay. And of course, again, another recurring theme is time. You mentioned that it's probably not ever too early to start thinking about your exit plan. I know some people build their business with the idea of selling it when they build it. So what's the minimum time frame that you would say for a person to really get everything in order to accomplish a successful exit?
Yeah, some of the exit planning clients I've been working with for 3 or 4 years, and I expect to continue to work with them for a long time. Once we get an exit plan in place and we get all the pieces in place, it's really a maintenance type of engagement from that point on, looking at changes in the business, the cash flow of the business, the management team. If there's turnover, that may affect what our original plan was, and you know, the owners may achieve some wealth that they didn't expect to achieve, and they may be more inclined to sell the business to their employees at a below market value, as an example. So, but a minimum time, Norm, I would say you're probably looking at 6 months to really put an exit plan in place, because a lot of times what happens is a business owner realizes that some of the decisions they're making are really important, and so they need a little time, maybe with their spouse, maybe with, if it's a partner group, maybe they need a little time to discuss internally what they really want to do and come to some consensus, because these are big decisions they have to make. So I would say a minimum of 6 months to really put an exit plan in place. But again, an exit plan, once it's put in place, I think you have to continue to maintain it, much like you do an estate plan or any other document that really is important to you personally or to your business.
Okay, good. So I think we covered those pretty well. You know, the one question I have is someone watching this today, if they've decided, you know, I need to get started on an exit plan, what's the first thing they should do as soon as they stop watching this interview?
Well, I think they should seek out an experienced exit planning professional. Okay, someone who has experience working with business owners and can help them encapsulate all the things they need to do. One of the first steps we take when we engage a new customer is we go through our exit planning workbook that BEI provides to us, and it provides an outline for a lot of questions, and it tries to address all of the issues that the business owner might face. And an experienced professional can take all of those issues and they can drill down further into each issue to try to make sure that they uncover anything that the business owner might not be thinking of. So the first step really is to get a overall assessment of your preparedness to exit the business. One of the things that typically comes up when we do that is we identify some areas that there's a lot of risk, and a lot of risk in the short term. Maybe they're underinsured, as an example. Maybe they don't have a non-compete agreement or a buy-sell agreement, or some really critical documents that in the event of an unexpected exit of the business, and when I say that I mean maybe there's a death, maybe there's a disability of the owner or one of the owners or a key employee, and they're really not prepared for that event. And now they've just lost value in the business because they really didn't do a good job of preparing for that event and putting, risk management type tools in place, like I said, like insurance or like contractual obligations, to help define what happens next.
Okay. Something else you can do if you want to go to our website, exitplanshow.tv, you'll see a little red box and it'll say get it here. You can click on that, and we have about a 35 questions that'll help you determine a ballpark figure what your company's worth. It'll show you some areas you might work to improve it. When you secure that, you'll see a drop down. You can check Tom's name, and if you'd like to have Tom or I, either one, follow up with you about the results of that report, we'd be happy to do that too. If you like today's episode, go to exitplanshow.tv and let us know. If you want to talk to Tom about his services, you'll also find a link there in the show notes, all of his contact information, a link to his website, all the possible ways you can get in touch with Tom. Thanks, Tom, again for coming back and talking to us, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Thank you, Norm.
The next episode is about comparing the financial resources you have to those you'll need for a successful exit. So don't forget to visit our website, leave your comments below the show notes, then come back for episode 8.